What's up, everybody? I'm out here chilling at the soul food joint on the beach. I want to pre-warn you, you're going to hear a lot of sound effects in the back because I got my kids out here. They're playing and they're loud, and you know, I just want them to have a good time. But we're going to get into this thing. I've got a lot to talk to you about. This is going to be my third edition of a series that I entitled "Experience is the Best Teacher." Okay, so sit back, open your mind, and hopefully you'll learn some of the things that I learned through experience. Let's go.
It's been 400 years of slavery and oppression. The shackles are broken, and we learned our lesson. Leaving the land of the free and the home of the brave. Dry bones in the valley, coming out of the grave. Hey, I'm going
All right. I'm sitting out here, feeling the breeze, decompressing, looking over the ocean. And what I notice is as I'm looking into the camera, I see all of these scratches and stuff on the wall. And it's funny because when you come to Africa, Africa will scratch you up a little bit if you're not ready for it. In other words, it'll really give you some lessons, and some of those lessons will be painful. Some of those lessons will be happy. Uh, Whether they're painful or they make you happy, you're gonna learn. Okay. So you may notice that looks like I've lost a tremendous amount of weight, and that's been because I've been sick for the last 3 weeks. Not only have I been sick for the last 3 weeks, but my family have been sick for the last 3 weeks. So let's get into this conversation about experience being the best teacher. One of the things you want to understand when you get to Africa is that it's not an atmosphere like where you come from. So that means that there are different things that you can catch and that'll make you sick that are foreign or maybe foreign to you. Number one, in particular, is a disease called malaria. And so we caught malaria. First, it started with my son, then pretty much spread it to everybody. By the way, one thing I did not know that I did learn is whenever you have a fever in your body, the fact that it's a fever, it means that it is contagious. So if you are sick and you have a fever, you got to stay away from people until you heal because that fever is indicating that whatever the person has is contagious. So we got sick, man, and one of the lessons that I learned is to do some kind of preventative measures because malaria is nothing to play with, man. It takes your appetite. You don't want to eat, and then as a result of not eating, your strength leaves, you're weak, you're lightheaded, you're throwing up. You may even experience having diarrhea. It's a lot of different things that come with malaria. But I definitely want you to understand that it is certainly serious. In fact, we know someone who just recently passed, God rest his soul, a few weeks ago because of malaria, and then it developed into pneumonia. So you want to get moringa seeds, moringa leaves. There are a lot of other cures from what I understand, but moringa, for me, is the way to go. You take those moringa seeds or you boil the leaves and you good, between 2 hours to 2 days, you'll be back to normal. Your strength will be back and where it needs to be. Before I move on, I want to say that you probably want to also definitely, to prevent from catching malaria, take 1 or 2 C's a day, and that'll keep your immune system the way you need it to be so that you don't get sick. I had, as many of you all know, we do bashes every Sunday. It got very serious, because the next lesson I learned is that you have to keep yourself hydrated, You have to keep yourself hydrated because this is, Africa, man. So it ain't no sun like African sun. So if you don't keep yourself hydrated, you're going to end up doing something that I did. My car broke down on a Sunday. You guys know we have bashes on Sundays. So I decided to ride my bike. Now, this is, mind you, in the middle of me being sick. I'm thinking I'm over it and everything. I get on my bike and I head to the restaurant, end up stopping at a traffic light called Sakuta Traffic Light, and passed out, man. Passed out right there on the ground, hit my face. I don't know whether you can see the scar. It's healing now, but it's all up under my eye, my eyelid, forehead, nose. Boom, man, hit the ground. Somebody I didn't even know picked me up, put me in a taxi, and rushed me to the hospital. And so the experience that I had, what I learned is you got to stay hydrated, man. And you got to stop trying to be Superman. Do everything that your body or your mind tells you you can do, because your body will let you know when you reach the limit. And unfortunately, I've reached the limit. And but I'm grateful to be here to tell the story. So, take those moringa seeds, 1 or 2 a day, stay hydrated. All right? The next thing I want to talk about is doing business in the Gambia. Doing business in the Gambia, man, is extremely important to understand some of the things I'm about to share with you, because it'll help you to maneuver through, the potholes that we had to unfortunately fall in. One incident in particular was I had an employee that I hired, and everything about me hiring her was wrong. Everything was wrong. I met her on the side of the street, and, thank you. Okay. I met her on the side of the street, and, she was selling candy and small little things. And we got to talking. She said she was a believer, and believed in God and all of that. And, this happened over a few days because we had to, my wife and I had to go by there in that area a number of times. So make a long story short, one day she lived right down the street, so she wanted to take us to her house. Took her to her house. She took us to the house, and we seen the condition that she was living in. And I guess she knew that would basically pull on the strings of our heart. So after that, she asked for a job, and I just hired her out of the kindness of my heart, thinking I was doing the right thing, and ended up being the worst nightmare that we have ever experienced. I'm going to say we have ever experienced, one of the most worst nightmares that we've ever experienced. She ended up being very, very problematic. She fussed and argued with every employee we had. We just had problem after problem after problem after problem with her. But I'll allow my feelings to get in the way, but after 2 months of going through that and just seeing how problematic she was and how counterproductive to team building she was, I wanted to fire her. But my wife didn't want to fire her because she knew the situation that she was in. So to make a long story short, we transitioned from one place to another in our business. And as we moved to that location, we thought it would be good to just bring her in to clean, because that's what we hired her for. and take care of everything without any employees around. So there would be no fussing or arguing and those kinds of things. And I brought a painter in that she didn't even know, and she got to fussing with him that day. So I decided to fire her. Mind you, something else that I did not say is that we had decided based on where she was living. The reason why she was living how she was living was because she got behind on her rent, and they locked all of her belongings in the place that she was staying and kicked her out. So my wife and I had said out of the kindness of our own heart that we were going to help her to get her stuff. Had nothing to do with work or anything. But anyway, after she got to fussing with the painter, I just was like done, man. I told my wife I'm gonna have to make an executive decision to let her go. So what we told her, we said, you've been working 4 days out of this particular month. We're gonna pay you for the whole month, but we're gonna have to let you go because you are proven to be very counterproductive to team building and our business moving forward. She got mad, started cursing, said that she was going to send some demons our way, and when we get ready to eat, they're going to choke us and we're going to die and all of these things. So we got the police involved because she got irate and she wouldn't get off the property. And once the policeman got involved, he assessed the situation, said that we were in the right. She did not want to take the whole month of salary that we wanted to give her, even though she hadn't worked for 4 days. She didn't want to take the whole month's salary. Instead, she wanted what we said we were going to do for her out of the kindness of our own heart, which I'll tell you was $7,900. It had nothing to do with a job or anything. That was just something we was going to do out the kindness of our heart that I decided that I was going to renege on based on her disrespect and the problems that she was giving us. So she took us to the Department of Labor, and I thought I had everything in place to show them, why we should win the case. And we ended up losing the case. So that was an expensive lesson that I learned. You might say, what did I learn from that? I learned that you have to have contracts in place and that you have to do business from a strictly business mindset and not allow your feelings or your heart to get into the equation, okay? So if you're starting a business, keep that in mind. Make sure that you are doing business on the up and up, that you're not allowing your feelings to get involved. Yeah, man. So, it's important to, bear in mind, that you should do business, man, the way business should be done and not have your feelings involved, and things of that nature. One other incident before I moved from doing business in the Gambia that happened was we had a guy to come in and do the roof because I didn't want to wait. I had to continue this talk with you all on a different camera. I was using the internet on my computer, and now I'm using my phone because I want to stay in this mode, but I'm having internet issues. So pick up where I left off, man. I wanted to have this conversation, regarding this roof, because I was trying to get it done because we're in the middle of rainy season. And for those that live here, rainy season, man, we've had 2 major storms that was so bad, they literally ripped the gates off of my compound, man, and so, then we had some damage done on the beach. But nevertheless, I had a guy come in, man, to do the roof. He gives me a quote on what it would take to get the roof done, right? And some other work, not just the roof, but some other work. Gives me this quote, and we move forward, man. I know it wasn't smart not to do a contract, and I had all intentions of doing the contract, but I wanted to go ahead and get started because the rain was really, really bad. So I had him to go ahead and take off the roof, and took the roof off, and then told me that the price that he quoted me was just labor, and that, you know, there was another 25,000 Dallasy that I had to pay for supplies, you know, and different things that was needed, you know. And I guess he thought he had me by the balls because the roof was already off, which to a degree he did, you know. And it was just it was just one of the most frustrating processes, you know, because in tearing the roof off, we're in the middle of rainy season. He did not have anything prepared to cover the roof. I asked him, like, why would you take the whole roof off and not have anything to cover the roof? At least take half of it off, finish that part, and then take the other part off. He took the whole roof off, man. So he started on a Tuesday. He worked all the way up until Friday and disappeared. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, his phone was off. We didn't hear anything from him. We're in the middle of rainy season, and I got a roof off with my meter exposed, you know, which means that all of my electrical stuff, man, could be destroyed, and then I have to pay somebody to come in and rewire the whole place. You know, not to mention computers and, you know, other stuff that could have been damaged by the water. So by Sunday, we still had our bash, but I had somebody else come in and finish the roof. Okay. When he finished the roof, you know, we were satisfied. He actually came in and finished in one day, you know. So the guy called me on Monday, and expecting to come finish the roof after not showing up for 3 days, and was upset that I hired somebody else to finish it. By the way, that guy took a day and a half. He actually finished up Monday evening. But this guy was upset, man, because I hired somebody else to take care of the roof because he abandoned me for 3 days in the middle of rainy season. I was baffled, man. He threatened to go to the, well, actually he did go to the police. You know, and it was just crazy, man. You know, so we're gonna see what he's gonna do. I mean, he said he was gonna take us to court or whatever. By the way, I paid him $15,000 to get started. So, you know, not to mention, he only finished half of the job. He wanted to get paid for the whole thing. Only finished half of the job. Took the whole roof off, put half of it back on, and put the Colgate on backwards at that. You know, so, you know, that situation is a pending situation. You know, I got my attorney in the background ready to take action if he try to take me to court, because it's ridiculous. But my bottom line is, man, we got to do business above board. We got to make sure that we have contracts in place. And even in having contracts in place, you just got to thoroughly think through who you're working with, you know, because this guy seemed like he didn't care about nothing but getting the money, man, you know. And you know, a lot of people, man, had a mentality of just getting what they can get for the day, and then they're gonna worry about what's gonna happen the next day. You know, like this guy actually thought, I'm gonna blow this money on this weekend, and I got him by the ball, so he gonna be there Monday for me to pick up where I left off. You know, just because he was thinking about having fun or however he blew the money, you know, that day, not thinking about tomorrow, not thinking about the next day, the next week, just thinking about today. And that's a very toxic way of thinking, you know, because, you know, you're going to end up being a reactive person instead of a proactive person, meaning that you're going to react to everything that's coming your way. And let me tell you, in Africa, man, it's unpredictable. It's definitely unpredictable. Let me move on real quick as I finish, and I want to talk about taxis. You know, taxis, man, when you come in here, you got to understand, you know, what kind of environment you're coming in too, especially if you don't have a vehicle. You're going to have to deal with taxis. And you got a few things you need to be educated on. You need to know what a town trip is. You need to know what a 1010 is, and you need to know how to be able to navigate your way through Gambia, man, and not be beat over the head spending all this money on taxis, when you can take a 1010. Okay, so a 1010 is a local taxi that you can take, maybe a mile and a half down the road. The only inconvenience is you have to get out the taxi and take another 1010, where you're going. The good part is you ain't spending but $10 to get to where you need to be. The flip side of that is you can take a town trip, and they're going to charge you anywhere from $300 to $600 each time they take you from the point that you get picked up to the point that you're going to. When you're living here in Gambia, you can't afford to do that unless you just got it like that. You rich, you can't afford to live like that. You're not going to be able to make it. You're going to burn through your money real quick. So when you come, man, consider that. Consider setting aside some money for traveling, and be wise in, when you want to take a town trip or when you want to do a 1010. Okay? Last thing I want to share with you, and this is primarily for people who want to move here and who want to garden, and plant and those kinds of things. You've seen several episodes of us, out there, trying to figure it out, not knowing what we're doing, trying to figure it out. Now, I mean, I done bought 15 trees, 6 of them dead, because I had to learn the lesson that Africa wanted to teach me. And that was that, a lot of things have to be considered. You got to educate yourself before you start spending money and trying to plant and trying to garden and all of that. So there were a lot of things that we did not consider that I want you to consider, in case you're already here and you think about doing what we're doing. I want you to consider termites. I want you to consider bugs, what kind of soil you're planting in, because it's a discouraging thing to go through all of the motions of planting something and then walk out one day and it's ate up by termites or caterpillars or snails or whatever. Another thing you want to concern yourself with, which really just knocked the wind out of me, we start seeing stuff sprout, and it started looking beautiful, and we had a family of monkeys, man, come in and eat up pretty much everything, and that took the wind out of me. And I said, I got to take a step back, because we learned a lot, man. We learned that certain seeds won't grow under hot conditions, that they have to have shade. Y'all seen the seedlings, and those kinds of things, and I don't take it for a complete loss, because I walked away with a lesson. This is why I'm sharing this with you. Experience is the best teacher. Ain't no teacher like experience, man. Once you have it, you don't have to go through the same thing again. You can do something different and get a different result. So I'm not going to go on and on about that, but just understand there are a lot of things you need to think about. You need to think about snakes. You need to think about other rodents coming in and eating up the stuff. How you're going to prepare to stop that from happening. You need to understand what grows in what season. You need to understand that some seeds, they'll grow, but they'll end up dying because it's just too hot, that they need to have shade. And so all of those things. So I would say, instead of getting excited, spending a whole bunch of money on soil and seeds and, investing a whole bunch of time and getting out there and tilling the land and planting, educate yourself first so that you don't have to go through some of the hardships that we went through. I think that's going to be about it, man. We might be at 20 minutes now, but I pray that these things that I'm sharing with you are helpful. I'm sure there are going to be more episodes of this segment that I entitled Experience is the Best Teacher. But for now, I want you to use that information and utilize it. Hopefully it'll help you not fall and have some of the downfalls that we've had. Okay, so don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, you know, and those kinds of things. We're gonna keep it moving, man. We're gonna keep being your eyes and your ears on the ground here in Gambia. All right, take care.